Na 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 na. No, nothing?
I don't know what you're talking about.
Come on, man. We are talking about the mineral iron today.
And where did that come from?
Welcome to Snackcast. Come on, it's Iron Man.
Oh, I get it.
Black Sabbath,
Yeah.
Nothing. Gosh, dog.
Kind of. Yeah. Okay.
So, welcome back. We are talking about iron today. Iron symbol Fe
Fe.
and atomic number 26, I think.
That's all you.
Right? So yeah. So what is iron? You want me to go, or you?
Yeah, you can go.
You want
Hey,
to go?
all I know is really important for blood. That's not all I know. There's a couple other things I know.
You're exactly right. So it's a trace mineral, and it's mainly part of two blood functions, if you will,
Okay.
or blood proteins, hemoglobin and myoglobin.
So hemoglobin is good for carrying oxygen around the body.
Delivers it throughout the body. It's actually why the blood is red, because the oxygen and the iron combine. But yes, iron is critical to hemoglobin, and hemoglobin's job is delivering oxygen throughout the body through the cardiovascular system, right? Fairly critical thing.
I would think without iron, you're DED.
Right. So the myoglobin is also a blood protein, but it's stored in the muscle, and it delivers oxygen for muscle contracture. Contracture? What is that?
I don't know, like an
contractions? Contractions. So, my brain immediately went to, like guy flexing his muscles, whatever. But I think it's much more granular than that. I mean, the second most important, maybe arguably tied for most important organ in the body, the heart.
The heart. The lungs.
One big muscle that does nothing but contracts its whole life. So
Expand and contract.
pretty important, hemoglobin and myoglobin. So
I got a number for you. 1 billion people are deficient in iron.
I do not doubt it a bit. Not at all. Is that global?
That's global.
Obviously.
Yeah.
More than the United States.
Right. That's more than people.
Well, I guess my brain was going to, do you know where that's concentrated? Is there a reason there's so many?
We can get to that. I mean, I know there's tons. I got the deficiencies and how you come about that down pat, and I started going down that path, which is really interesting. And again,
let's go.
Circle back. So a lot of them are bleeding disorders, right? You got your excessive menstruation.
Yep.
Bleeding, you're bleeding out. Probably your blood thinners, nosebleeds, things like that are going to lead you to an iron deficiency. Ulcers, bleeding. Hemorrhoids, bleeding. Colon cancer, bleeding, right? Dietary, we talked about this on the last Snackcast, and we've hit it over and over and over. If you're vegan, you're probably not getting enough iron. Antibiotics, iron. If you have over inflammation, and I'll talk about that in a minute. Your body depletes the iron during the inflammation process, so it's using it. Iron fuels bacteria, both good and bad. So when your body is going through an infection, it sucks all the iron out to go help the good bacteria out. Hence, you're in a iron deficient state. Check this one out. Low stomach acid. If you cannot, in malabsorption. So if you have low stomach acid, you probably had an iron deficiency. Guess what I was deficient in on my nutrients? Iron.
Were you?
Yep, it was, and again, we go back to me personally.
Right.
Potassium was low, which can't make hydrochloric acid, which gives you GERD and acid reflux, and it all points back to absorbing vitamins and minerals, which I wasn't absorbing because potassium was
Cliff notes, just for if you're new or this is your first one. Kevin recently found out, he thought he had suffered from high acid for a long time.
Yep.
Found out you're actually low acid.
Yeah, so
And that most people with acid reflux.
the number is 80%. Most people with acid reflux and GERD and heartburn that they are low acid. It goes against everything you would think.
Right.
That you have high acid.
Cliff notes.
My guess is that number is much higher than 80%. My guess is like 90. I can't even. I'd like to say 100% of people have low stomach acid.
Well, but connecting the dots for this, right? Low acid leads to absorption issues because you're not breaking down the food properly.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and then malabsorption and inflammation. So, yeah, those are really interesting on how you get low on iron.
So it's funny. I got the whole blood loss as specifically iron is very difficult. Not difficult, but your body doesn't use it, doesn't get rid of it. It doesn't. There's so many that we have to replenish constantly, especially in the vitamin space, right? The vitamin C, the vitamin Bs, you have to get it through dietary or, other ways. Iron apparently doesn't ever go anywhere until there is a blood loss of some sort.
Interesting.
Right? That it doesn't get used up.
Okay.
Like the others. Anemia, I found, I don't think you mentioned.
Inflammation, I guess, would be one of those things.
Right. Well, I guess when I saw the blood loss and the research I did point to menstruating people, menstruating women often need to be supplementing or making sure they consume enough. Growing children, I guess, can use it.
Okay.
Maybe.
But it probably doesn't leave the system.
But you rattled off all these things that I didn't even equate to bleed. I'm like thinking to myself, well, then I probably am not deficient because I can't tell you the last time I cut myself. But there's so many other ways to bleed.
Right.
And I that's interesting to me that's what you found out, So, I did get kind of the same stuff. There's an increased risk for vegans and vegetarians. Let's see. I got the menstruation, pregnant, growing children, the anemia, I guess it's the oxygen carrying capacity of the blood. It's a disease that makes it hard for you to. I don't know. I don't want to speak out of. It's an anemia. Is one of the
the definition of anemia is anemia.
Yes.
You heard it here first.
Breaking
the things you learn on Snackcast.
So, did you get other symptoms that you might be deficient?
Fatigue,
yep.
Right? Brittle nails, hair loss, twitching, irritation, eating ice,
picophagia.
Yes, eating dirt. That you have a desire to eat dirt.
A craving for ice or. I heard clay, dirt, whatever. Yeah, dude, that's so bizarre.
Interestingly,
it's a real thing. Picophagia.
Interestingly, you bring this up. That's funny about and I'm guessing it's similar. My mother, I believe, when she was pregnant with me, it might explain a lot. Actually ate burnt toast, which I believe is an iron. It creates iron in some way, shape, or form. She craved burnt toast. So I wonder when we are, I can't get pregnant, but when females get pregnant, I wonder if there's this, when they start to crave these things, that there are actually reasons and rationales for this. They are deficient, I think, like you said.
Well, I read that and I went, and I went back and read it again. I'm like, what? A craving to eat ice or clay? But yeah, apparently it's a real thing. I don't know how ice factors in.
Right. I mean, what are you replacing?
Right. Yeah, so the burnt toast totally makes sense. I've just never heard of that. I've never heard. It's probably one of those things that people don't admit, right? Like if you're craving a mud pie, you're probably not running around telling people about it.
We're not talking about the dessert mud pie.
What do you want for lunch today? I'm going to go out in the backyard.
He's eating a little dirt action.
Yeah. So, the picophagia was very strange. Pale skin is a symptom that you might be iron deficient, which you can tell I intentionally went out and got probably
got
too
a little
much
vitamin D.
But
Too much.
well, we'll see if I'm peeling on the next Snackcast.
Yeah, too much. There's no such thing.
You know, but shortness of breast.
Breast? Shortness of breast?
Sorry.
Where's your brain today?
Shortness of breath. I got that as a symptom. What else did you have? Anything?
Nothing outside of
Irritability, headaches.
irritability. Yeah.
So, what did we do last? The last one we did was sulfur, which you cannot get too much of.
Right.
Iron, you definitely can. And in fact, there's even a condition among European. I'm guessing that's the polite way of saying white people, European descent, that you can store up too much iron. That at which point it does become toxic. The symptoms for that is vomiting, nausea, diarrhea. So it kind of makes sense, right? Your body's got something in it it wants to get out, abdominal pain. But the long term of too much iron would be organ damage, mainly in the liver. So it's interesting to me that some of these, you can't get too much. And some of them, you can. And it can be even life-threatening.
But are you going to get too much iron from natural sources?
I think it's mainly if you have this genetic mutation that I wish I had.
But I mean, are you going to get it from natural sources? If I eat too much red meat, am I getting an iron? I'm going to have an iron problem.
I don't think so. But I don't know the roots.
I mean, I can understand
condition.
if I'm taking iron supplements up the wazoo.
Right. Which could be possible. There have been children that have had too much iron. So
again, how do we get it? Typical sources, right? Seafood, red meat, poultry, eggs, a superfood.
Oh, so that does bring up, before we wrap this up, there were what they call them, two dietary types, and it was heme, Heme, and non-heme, Nonheme.
Is that
right?
A part of the hemoglobin?
Well,
is that where this is coming from? That root?
It's a good question. I don't know, but the difference in the two is one of them's easily absorbed by the body, and the other one is not. And we've talked about this in the past. The easily absorbed, the heme,
coming from
meats, fish, poultry,
animal fats,
eggs.
Yep.
The non-heme, less easily absorbed, veggies, beans, grains. So you can think you're getting enough iron through.
Does that go back to like we were talking about before with the soils and not being able to?
Possibly. It may be that just our food supply is so diminished in vitamins and minerals now. But I think it may just be the type of iron, actually, and not. This speaks to the dietary type, and not that the plant itself is deficient. So
right.
Apparently it's harder to absorb. So if you are vegan, vegetarian, a lot of plant-based,
you really need to watch this.
Pay attention to it. Yeah.
All right.
That's it.
That's cool, man.
Questions, comments, concerns, hit us at snackcast@yes.fit.
Stay moving.
See ya.